Hello, everybody. My name is Jim. I'm the CEO, lead designer, and founder of Perfect Fitting Shoes. I prepared this video called Creating AquaTrek Sandals to show you a little bit about what I've done to prepare myself for running Perfect Fitting Shoes and some of the things that I've done in the past. In regards to AquaTrek Sandals, I took on a partner to try to help me grow the business. Things didn't quite work out the way we had planned, so he bailed on us, and there are some things that I had to do to try to salvage the relationship that I established with the factory and honor my commitments to those that I took on obligations for. So this video is prepared to show you what I've done and what kind of individual I am in running a business. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jim Ross with Perfect Fitting Shoes. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about a story that preceded the launching of Perfect Fitting Shoes, but it was while I was still working on the concept of the shoes adjusting in the heel. I hadn't created the name Perfect Fitting Shoes at that time, but I was still working on the design of the shoes adjusting the heel. But because I didn't have any traction, anybody really helping me on the shoe design, I was doing some sandals. I'd gone down to Mexico. I was living in Chicago at the time, and I heard about a trade show that was happening at the convention center in Chicago. At that trade show, I met a gentleman who was a representative for a shoe factory down in Mexico in Leon, Guanajuato. Actually, it's just outside of Leon, Guanajuato, called San Francisco del Rincon, which they refer to as San Pancho. But it's just 15, 20 kilometers, 15, 20 miles outside of Leon, about 30 kilometers outside of Leon. So I've met this rep. He told me that the factory would be interested in making my samples for my shoes, help me get the thing started. So I kept in touch with him. Had a week vacation coming up to me from my work, so I took off and went down to Mexico, drove down there for a trade show that they were having called Sapica, and it took me a day and a half, 2.5 days, I'm sorry, 2.5 days to drive from Chicago all the way to Leon. I got there in the middle of the day on the third day and went to the trade show. Didn't know anybody, didn't have any money either. You know, I had some money, but I didn't want to spend it. And was going to go to this trade show and then talk to some of the factories afterwards before I went back up to Chicago. Actually, it was a 2-week vacation that I had that I was away from work for, but I couldn't extend it longer than that. So anyway, I drove down there, went to the trade show, found this factory. They were going to make my shoes. They kept telling me, mañana, mañana, mañana. At the end of the 2 weeks, I was like, man, you guys have been playing with me. You guys haven't made my sample. I came down here. I've been wasting a lot, not wasting, but I spent a lot of money, wasting my time on you guys, and you guys haven't done diddly for me. And they're like, yeah, sorry, mañana, mañana, whatever. And I was really angry. But at the same time, they had this product, they had these sandals that were synthetic, but they had this cushion bubble in the back, but that didn't really do it. It was the polyurethane midsole that they had that was really soft and squishy, and I loved them. After I went to their factory, saw the sandal, I got a pair, and I was walking in them, and they were just like heaven on my knees, because my knees sometimes gave me problems. And this is before
The company Crocs came into being. I found this type of sandal down in Mexico, made at a company called Garces, and I brought it up to the United States because it benefited me, and I didn't have the money to market this properly, unfortunately, but Crocs did, so they became a big brand.
these were really soft and cushy sandals. So I was trying to sell them in Chicago and during the summertime, and everybody loved them. But in Chicago, I could sell them in the summertime, but during wintertime I had to discount them. So I got that first order and sold out, was really happy with it, but I decided, you know, this might be a good venture for me, but I can't do it in Chicago. So I waited till the next year. I saved up some money, went down to Mexico in February, ordered a bunch of sandals, waited for them to be made. They were finished, and I drove to LA. Got to LA, started making some contacts, expanding my opportunities, and found a place where I could sell the sandals at Venice Beach at a swap meet that was open on the weekends, where I could directly sell them, make a decent profit. And then there was also a yuppie swap meet in Costa Mesa that I was selling them on the weekends. But during the week, I was trying to grow the business, trying to make sales to existing retailers and whatever I could do to survive. While I was selling in Costa Mesa, this guy approached me and told me about a buddy of his or a contact of his that he went to school with who could finance my inventory because I was having problems with my inventory because I was just undercapitalized. And I could only sell on the weekends for the most part, and a lot of times I ran out of sizes and the colors that were popular, and I just had to wait a month, 2 months for the factory to fill in my order, and there just wasn't a great way to keep cash flow going when my sales would peak and then fall down because I just didn't have the inventory. So when I met the gentleman, Bob, and he told me about Rick, who was the financial guy, I said, yeah, I'd love to meet him. The next week, Rick came by, saw what I was doing, liked the sandals, liked what I was doing, and offered to finance the inventory for me. So we got into an arrangement where he was buying the inventory, I was storing it at his warehouse, and then on the weekends I'd check out the inventory, make sales, pay him for the inventory that I sold, deposit the rest back at his warehouse, and I'd take the profits and survive on the week's sales or the weekend sales, trying to get the business going. But I was doing sales up in the United States while we had the inventory, and then as soon as we ran out of inventory, I'd go down to Mexico and make the product. And we did this for a couple of years. But every time I was down in Mexico, Rick didn't like it because that meant I wasn't up in the United States making sales, and he really wasn't into making sales. He was just more into getting the cash flow going. And I originally thought that he was going to help with sales, but he just didn't want to do it. So I was doing everything, which is not a problem. I had no problems doing it. Getting up, I was living in the San Fernando Valley, getting up 4 o'clock in the morning, driving 70 miles to the swap meet, making my sales, tearing everything down, driving back up to my apartment in the San Fernando Valley. That would be Saturday night, doing the same thing Sunday morning, driving back down, and then driving up. Never having a guarantee that I get a spot at the swap meet because it's a lottery process. Sometimes I drive down there for nothing and have nothing to show for it. That's when I found the Venice boardwalk and started doing some sales there. But my problem was we had some soles that would sit, that would delaminate. And as they delaminated, we had a 1-year guarantee, and Rick wasn't happy with the fact that they delaminated because we couldn't return them back to the factory. Can't bring in used merchandise into Mexico. They wouldn't allow it at the border. So we were stuck with the inventory, and we just had to eat the cost, and that meant Rick was eating the cost, and he just didn't like it. So unbeknownst to me, we placed an order, well, actually, we placed an order for 800 pair at this factory down in Mexico, but I instructed the factory on a previous trip that the proper way to clean the rubber sole was to use one cotton ball to clean the sole completely and then throw the cotton ball away. And a lot of the guys didn't want to do that because they thought it was a waste. And I was like, look, the cotton ball with the chlorine is very minimal cost, not even 2 or 3 cents. But that saves me $30, $40 down the road from having to throw away the product. So please follow instructions and just do this thing. But I wasn't down there inspecting it while it was being done, so we didn't have any way of guaranteeing that it was going to be a successful production of the 800 pair.
So this is the end of part 1 to our video, Creating AquaTrek Sandals. We hope you stay tuned to part 2 and part 3 to find out more about Jim working as an entrepreneur creating the brand AquaTrek Sandals. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed our video. Bye-bye.